So us here at OPEH. Any AI note-taking for meeting participants is not allowed and will be removed. So I just have to say that up front. So why are we here? So the reason being is that a local Fairfax County Continuum of Care grant recipient, and that recipient is New Hope Housing, informed Fairfax County that they have chosen to no longer continue administering their CoC Continuum of Care program grant. This is a grant that supports 16 individuals in 2 permanent supportive housing homes, and the grant supports the contracted amount for the grant in the latest competition year, so 2024, was $431,018. We're going to go back to some of these key facts here that you see before you, but I just wanted to kind of give you that background. So with that notification that New Hope wouldn't be continuing with the grant administration, it has opened up the process whereby we can transfer this grant. We would work with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to work on transferring the grant to an applicant organization that is selected through a process that we, through our continuum of care requirements here in Fairfax County, will go through a selection process. We'll have a selection and ranking committee review applications and make their selection based on an application process. So based on what we have written in our operations policies and procedures, there are certain criteria that would determine who is to be covered under this project, who could receive the funding for this project. And so we developed then, therefore, an application and have put that out last week and are asking for requiring that project applications be submitted by 4 p.m. on February 27th, 2026. So, and they would be submitted to me at my email address. Now, this information is contained. We have a website, Continuum of Care website. You would go to www.fairfaxcounty.gov/homeless and /continuum care. And that would bring you to where you can access the application. And I want to, we want to bring up that application now, and I'll step you through that. Yes. We'll go through it in the different elements of the application. So basically at the top there, we want information about you, the name of your applicant, the point of contact, and the point of contact email address. And as I was mentioning, this just talks about the application process, that we will have a selection and ranking committee review and select the agency that will be awarded the grant transfer. And I mentioned that CoC operations policy, as well as HUD guidance, that how the applicant will be chosen, and it's basically some key factors on their eligibility to administer HUD CoC program funding, overall organizational and financial capacity, expertise in serving the target population, and also experiencing administering federal grant funds. So those are all key elements, and you'll see that reflected as we go through the application in the questions that we ask. And there's an additional document that is called the Agency Capacity Tool, which we are requiring for agencies that are not currently HUD Continuum of Care Program grantees. So we'll bring that up on the screen at the very end of going over this application, just to show you a little bit about what some of the elements are in that application. Again, in that form. Again, this grant transfer application is due via email to me. There's my email address, stephen.knipler@fairfaxcounty.gov. They're due by 4:00 p.m. on February 27th, 2026. That is a Friday. And so that's some of the key information you need to know up front. So we've divided this application into some various sections. The first talks about some of the details. The project name is Permanent Supportive Housing, PSH, Group Homes. The amount of funding. So currently awarded, this project was awarded a HUD funding amount of $431,018. This is, even though we're in February of 2026, this is considered fiscal year 2024 funding. And though we've submitted for renewal of projects for FY 2025 federal funding, and that dollar amount hopefully will change, and hopefully will change for the higher as HUD is due to review applications, and they've indicated that they would review them and consider applying a cost of living increase as well as adjustments due for fair market rents. So that dollar amount is due to change, and hopefully for the higher. The project type we're talking about, permanent supportive housing. So you don't have to worry about filling anything in for that, nor for section B here, where we talk about the project capacity. This could raise a little questions for you, but we're talking about 16 beds and 16 units, as a bed is considered a unit for these group homes. But we're talking about 2 group homes, and we'll get a little bit more into that in talking about the project description. But that's the project capacity to serve 16 individuals. And that we go right now to the population here. The individuals who are being served are chronically homeless. They are adult-only households, and they are persons with serious mental illness. So again, this is stated, put forth for you. Again, nothing that you need to do to that section, but that gives you background on who is being served at these 2 properties. Here's where we would require some information from you, just to ask you to confirm that we ask you to certify that the project will continue to only serve individuals who qualify as homeless under the certain paragraphs of the Continuum of Care regulations and Section 103B of the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act. So we are looking for a yes answer there. And then we are posing question number 7. Does the applicant certify that it will continue to participate in coordinated entry and the selection of program participants and will be consistent with the Continuum of Care's, our Continuum of Care's coordinated entry process? And again, we're looking for a yes answer for that response as well. So that leads us now to the description of the project and basically what is expected. In transferring the project, the idea would be to keep the project as close to the intent of the original application. We will be working with HUD throughout the process, so that but any significant changes have to be made with HUD's approval. So what is the kind of current structure? We talked about some of the background. The 2 homes that New Hope housing is operating as are called Max's Place and Gartland House, and a little bit further down, we'll tell you where they're generally where they're located. And again, they are permanent supportive housing. Want to jump down to a little bit further into the paragraph where it talks about the project. It ascribes to a persistent engagement approach and offers voluntary supports and services to all participants there, right, including those who are resistant to services. The project uses a housing first approach. It emphasizes getting individuals off the streets and into safe housing. We will talk about in as we go through the subsequent slides of what the occupancy rate is currently. I can tell you that it's full, but should there be vacancies, there's an emphasis on getting individuals off the streets and into safe housing. So access to the project is not contingent on certain conditions as described there, and it includes so the project does include a wide array of services to support stability in housing. And then these services are to contribute to improved mental and physical health. And the structure that is here in the project description is that trauma-informed services are provided by an outreach counselor. The counselor builds relationships with participants to foster an environment of trust. The outreach counselor is available to assist residents in applying for mainstream benefits, and some of those are listed there: SSI, SSDI, SNAP benefits. Staff are available to provide transportation to appointments and assist with referrals to dentists, food banks, and other services. Project connects individuals as needed to Fairfax County's Community Services Board and the Department of Health to address mental health and substance abuse and developmental and health issues. When are these services provided? They're tailored to meet the unique needs of each participant. So on-site staffing is provided 24 hours per day, 7 days a week at Max's Place. And then at Gartland's house, on-site staffing is available 8 hours per day, 7 days a week. And a staff person is accessible to Gartland House 24 hours a day if needed. So that's taken from the application, the 2024 application. I want to bring in Ann Barrett here. Ann, if you have anything you want to either add or supplement to this description here, that how the project has been running, we welcome your input here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you guys for having me. Just to kind of little short disclaimer before I get started for anybody who's not aware, I've been the interim executive director for just about 30 days. So while I wish I had a very expertise level grasp on everything, I certainly don't. So please don't hold that against me. Any questions you guys have that I cannot answer in this meeting, as we go throughout the discussion, I will certainly get answers to. But yeah, no, this description aligns with, absolutely what the ideal program would be. The one area, the kind of the difference between the two group homes, and I'm not completely clear again on how this just kind of separation occurred, but Max's Place has the 24-hour staffing because they also provide the medication management. So that's kind of the big difference in support between the two homes in the way that it was laid out, when we ran them. So Max's has that 24-hour a day support full time, 100% of the time, because the clients are receiving or the tenants are receiving medication management. Gartland, the way it's written here makes it appear that there is staff there more than I think there is. That 8 hours a day, 7 days a week was for the case manager, but the case manager also splits time between both. So again, as far as the services provided, most of the clients have the CSB worker, so that's completely aligns with what we do as far as making sure that there's additional resources for the clients who are there. But just as far as, thinking about it from the staffing perspective, Gartland clients have a lot more independence, and there is less supervision, whereas Max's does have that feel of, a RSS, a staff member there at the desk all day long and all evening long.
Thanks, Ann. Greatly appreciated. And again,
Sure.
so the concept here that you'd be applying to basically, continue this program. Again, there'll be some questions asked about how what you plan to implement, how it meshes with this project description. But in this section here, again, there's nothing you need to do to number 8 here, but at number 9, there are a few questions we ask that again, we're looking for some affirmative answers here. Does your agency, well, it depends if you're a new agency or not. Does your agency currently participate in HMIS? We ask that question. Will your agency enter data into HMIS? HMIS, of course, being the Homeless Management Information System, and that the CoC program would require this information to be entered into HMIS. And then if your agency is a victim service provider and is excluded from entering data into HMIS for this proposed project. Now that would be a change to the project, but we did keep this question in here in case it becomes a victim service provider project. Will you enter data into a comparable database that meets all of HUD's HMIS requirements? I've seen some hands come up, so let me take a break here and ask Joe Fay. You have a question?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up for Ann. So
Okay.
So at Gartland House, there are no RSS staff at the house?
That's correct. And I'm still, trying to really wrap my head around all the differences as far as what support has been provided. From what I understand, we've had Gartland for years and years and years, and there's been some variations. I believe at one point they did have staff on the weekends. They had them during the day to be there because the case manager was not, necessarily going to be there doing meetings and just being that extra present. So they did at one point have we're able to figure out the funding to have, an RSS on the weekends. Also to provide help with kind of just making sure that the gentlemen, we're cooking, the food situation, can get a little tricky sometimes, trying to make sure that all the tenants are, compromising and, being cooperative, when they don't have somebody else there really helping to regulate. Because as, Steve mentioned, these are all individuals who have some mental health challenges, and the challenge with Gartland is that because we don't have, or there's no staff monitoring medication, that's where we can have some, kind of extra challenges arise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
And I see that Eleanor Vincent has a question. Eleanor?
Yes, hi, good morning. I have a couple of questions actually, and nice to meet you. So, in terms of the designs of this project, and we recognize that I think one or two of these were like on as safe havens before. Are the people you have there, have they been there a long time, or are these people like on average, how long have they been living in these two homes? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I say, I wish I, knew these projects, so every little bit and piece of them. I can tell you clients have been there, multiple years. We do have several who have been there less than a year, just because I've been overseeing programs long enough that two of the gentlemen are newer to us within about the past 6 months. But some have been, in these, having their rooms in these units for multiple years.
Okay, and in terms of your staffing patterns, I think you said you have an RSS at Gotland that's there maybe 4 hours a day or something. It seems like they're that person is split between Gotland and Max's place, right? So maybe
Gar
about okay. And then
Oh, no, sorry,
for
just to clear that up. So Gartland right now does not have RSS staff. So
okay.
the case manager spends time over there. The case manager splits between all 16 tenants or clients are on her caseload. So she does spend
Okay.
time at Gartland meeting with the clients, but there is no RSS at Gartland right now. And again, that's where I'm trying
Okay.
to understand this timeline of when they were able to support it on the weekends versus when it became part of the case manager to provide that supervision.
Okay, thank you. That's actually helpful. And also for Max's place, I think you said there's a staff there. You said all day, but then you said evenings and during the day. Are they there overnight as well?
Yes, 24 hours a day. Yes, and it's a requirement again because of that medication management. So it's truly one in, one out. The case or the RSS will not leave until their replacement comes in. So it's 8-hour shifts throughout the 24 hours.
Okay. Is that project licensed as a group home?
That is a great question. I don't.
Yeah, because I'm asking because you use the word requirement. I know HUD does not require those types of things. So which is why I'm curious. I mean, is it we're talking about it as PSH, but it sounds like it's been on like a group. We had group homes before, and their
Mhm.
licensure requirements regarding staffing, staff activities. So I'm just curious. It would be very helpful actually to know the answer to that question.
I know the project is listed in the CoC application as PSH group homes. And of course, there are requirements in federal Fairfax County about how many unrelated individuals you can have to be living together, and then
Hmm.
to make a group home. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's a question for the COC as well. But there are definitely questions that we have just in terms of how it's licensed, what are the regulations, because the underlying question is whether there's any flexibility in the program design, in terms of if we're really talking PSH and the people that are being served. We know people with serious mental illnesses can be served in settings where you don't have staff 24/7. So it's a pretty valid question, and we would like to have the answer to that, please, going into the application process. Thank you. Thank you, Anne. Those are my questions for now. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Let's continue on with the application. So then we get to section E, project budget, and this has been filled in, and this is based on the current budget, again, that 2024 award. There you see the HUD total of 431.18 toward the middle there. But it's broken out into the different categories: leasing assistance, supportive services. This is a key element there, that supportive services are eligible. Then operating costs and administration of up to 10%. So there are some administrative funds allowed. The project requires a match, and the formula for that is basically 25% of the HUD total, but you can exclude the leasing assistance. And so you would get that if you did the calculations, you would see that would come out to that. So the whole HUD and match total budget there comes to 519,450. What we are allowing in this application is for you all to take a look at that budget and um, provide how you would propose to maybe make some changes to that budget, staying within what is eligible under continuum of care regulations. So this number 11 is an opportunity for applicants to do some tweaking to the budget. Again, we're looking at 2024 is already in progress, and so we're kind of looking to the future, to 2025, what what the budget will look like for that time. But for a year of service under this project, what would your budget look like in comparison to what was presented? Yes, Eleanor.
Thank you, Steve. So in terms of the budget, so it looks like this project ends in a couple of months, so 7/31, right? Not a lot of time. How much is in the budget that needs to be spent by 7/31? And the second question, I think I know the answer. I'm going to ask it anyway. Is given the circumstances and this has been transitioned to another provider, is there any communication with HUD about extending that beyond the end of the project year? So let's start with the first question first.
Okay, sure.
That's easier.
And I want to ask Ann. I know that project obviously has been incurring funds since the year so the current year that is in progress. I don't know, Ann, if you know of what the balance is at this point.
I don't have the figure. I can
balance.
ask finance. The good news is, I know but we've been working in the background trying to successfully, draw down the money that we needed to get. So we have definitely have a grasp now on everything. I can find out that figure. I think Eleanor, that's a great question to know that at this point. I will get that from finance and I will pass that along to you, Steve, to
Thanks. Great.
share with the group. Okay.
Okay, and it would be helpful to know which budget line items, like the balance in each of those, please. That would be helpful.
Sorry, when I'm looking down, I'm taking notes. I'm old school with writing notes on
You're
paper.
fine.
So
You're fine. You're fine.
I
I'm
live by my
taking notes
notebooks.
too.
Yes. Okay.
You're fine. You're fine. Thank you.
Regarding your second question, and Eleanor, we have not been in contact with the HUD representative yet regarding the process here, and I imagine we would start with just trying to make the transfer fit within the guidelines so that the funds expired July 31st, and the next year's budget would pick up from the 2025 budget would pick up at that point, unless there is some, in terms of some of the negotiations that we do with HUD, that would change that. Again, we would probably stick to the framework that is already established.
Okay. Can I just make one, and this is really an ask, and I know Joe and I see other hands, so I won't hog the time, but that question is particularly important because whoever ends up having this grant transition to them, right, is going to have to deal with potentially leaving unexpended funds on the table for the fiscal year that we're talking about. Because the timelines, it looks like we want transition to happen sometime in the spring, which is a couple of months before the grant ends, right? And so realistically, depending on how much is still there, folks may not be able to expend all of those funds. So I think the CoC is going to have to make some commitment that if that happens moving forward and people are in monitoring evaluation, that there's just an agreement that people will not be dinged for unexpended funds if they now have that project that they took over and could not reasonably expend the funds. So I'm just kind of putting that out there in the universe for the record. Thank you.
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks, Eleanor. Let me jump to Megan here first.
Oh,
Yes.
there's a question from Heidi in the chat. Steve, she asked if the
Okay.
cash match is funded by Fairfax County or the provider or agency.
Okay, it would be the provider. Yes, the cash match. Again, that would be the 25% of the HUD total, excluding leasing assistance, would be, the person who is taking over the grant, the organization that's taking over the grant. Correct. Rich.
Go ahead, his hand up first.
Oh, go ahead, Rich.
Just a
I'm
real
sorry.
quick one. And do you have staff that would be interested in transitioning with this project? Case manager, for instance, hopefully has a relationship with the individuals and might make it easier.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Certainly do have some. So under me, and again, our organizational chart is just, I don't even want to describe it really. However, we do have someone under me called the client service manager. And so she's kind of taking the lead as being the coordinator for the RSSs, and she is taking the lead as our case manager. She's doing a wonderful job, along with some of our RSS staff who have been with New Hope for years and really perform well. So yes, I think that's certainly something to explore. I agree, especially with some of these clients who consistency is wonderful. And, looking at it from a trauma-informed lens, a lot of changes, even some of the clients who kind of just hear through the grapevine, oh gosh, something's changing, what's going on? There's been some additional anxiety. So yeah, absolutely. I would certainly love to be a part of any kind of, opportunities for current staff to potentially stay on.
Thank you.
Great question. Yep.
We'll go with Joe and then William, and then I think we're going to try to finish up the presentation here, and I might ask if you could hold questions through till the end of the presentation, as I'm looking at the clock and want to be conscious of people's time. Joe.
There's two quick questions. So the first is the start date. So the FY25 grant starts 8/1/26. And runs for a year. We're currently under the FY24 grant. Is the proposed start date that we should look at sooner than 8/1/26? In other words, would we be starting with the new grant year, or would we be completing the current grant year with remaining funds? And I think it might be the latter, that you'd ask us to start sooner.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
As soon as the transition can be made, and we're anticipating that would be before that July 31st date.
And then just the second question is, I see there's a cash match. I assume we could propose any kind of HUD approved match, right? Like sometimes we do services match on PSH programs as opposed to a cash match. And as long as we follow the HUD PSH regulations, I assume that'd be okay.
Yes, I think that would be one where, there are certain changes that would require approval from HUD. I believe that though
Yeah.
would be probably allowable. I mean, would go through smoothly. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And William. Let's see, I saw, William, that you came off of mute, but I do not hear you. Let's see if you're... William, we can't hear you. I don't know if you want to put your question in the chat, if that would be a way around this. Yeah, I see you came off. Yeah. Okay. While we're waiting for William's question, let's continue down now to some of the other parts of the form. So our last question where we're asking for a yes, no, or not applicable is whether your agency is currently a recipient of HUD CoC program funding. And then this is where we ask a question about, has funding been fully drawn down? So we want to see kind of the track record that your organization would have over the past 3 complete grant years. And if there's an explanation of why it wasn't, to put that in there. The last question before we get to the ones that are covered with the evaluation criteria is if your agency is currently a recipient of CoC program funding, provide the date that your last annual performance report, that's APR, was submitted. So,
can you hear me now?
Oh yes, William. Yes, I can hear
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for allowing me to participate. I am a lowly citizen who's been interested in the homeless situation. I live on the edge of Reston here, where we have 40 people in the woods that were evicted last year. And I also live in Great Falls, and learned after moving here, I live within a mile of 4 McMansions that house 32 mental health people under Newport Academy. Quite a different situation than what you have here. So I was interested in this. I did not know this existed. And so these 2 homes, are they owned by the county?
We will kind of go into that in the subsequent PowerPoint, but
Okay, I'll leave it until then.
oh, okay.
And I think I learned, one of my questions was, there's a shared kitchen that all 8 people use. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. Currently, each of the locations has a communal area.
Okay, and these
communal
are
kitchen.
all, I don't want to take your time up, and these are all males, no females?
All males currently at Gartland, and at Max's it's half and half, 4 and 4.
And they all have their own room with a lock on it, I guess, from what I understand. But
That's
these
correct.
people, the people here in these McMansions supposedly have gone through rehab. But it's not uncommon to have the police called to one of these houses. So I'm wondering what the security is at these particular places. Let me get all my questions out. And well, I guess that's it. But it seems these people are still drug users or alcoholics, and they're allowed to be in these facilities under those conditions. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, under our housing first. Sorry, Steve, were you about to? I saw your mouth open.
Yeah. No, I was gonna to allow you, Ann, to respond.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that's definitely a good point, but we, under this housing first model, our goal is to safely shelter, these guests or these clients, and then help support them through their kind of recovery journey. But yes, that certainly can be a challenge.
Well, it certainly seems these must be very volatile homes. If people are in there high, I don't know if they go out during the day and sell drugs to come up with the money to pay their share of the lease, or, I had no idea this occurred. And this company who is shedding this seems to have other homes in the area, does it? Or am I misreading that? Do they operate other facilities in the county?
You're talking about New Hope Housing?
Yeah. No? Okay.
And I don't know if you wanted to address, New
Yeah,
Hope situation. Yeah.
Yeah, we are currently running a hypothermia shelter right now. It's a little bit of a different model. So that's the other kind of program that is still in our portfolio at the moment. So I run that one.
They're just pulling out of these 2.
Yeah, the hypothermia one is just seasonal. So this will be New Hope Housing's last opportunity as an organization to run that shelter.
And I would just say that, doing our deep dive up here, we found these 32 people are paying $40,000 a month to be in these facilities. So I don't know how that occurs, but quite interesting contrast. Thank you.
Yeah, see, I think that would be a different model than what we're looking at here. See, we have about 15 minutes left if we want to try to get through the application and the criteria for the applicants.
Very good. Yeah, and I ask at this point, let's hold questions to the very end. So yes, the evaluation criteria, these are questions that we're looking at input, putting out another document that will show the point values that are going to be associated with these criteria. And will be on our website. But so first of all, we are asking that you as an agency, as an applicant, describe your agency's experience operating a permanent supportive housing program. And there are some word limits, so you can see that this one has a 250 word or less limit to give your experience in operating a permanent supportive housing program. The next question, we want to ask your agency's experiencing in serving the targeted population. So again, we're talking chronically homeless and those experiencing mental illness. Again, there's a word limit there. We ask you to respond and adhere to that word limit. Question number 16, describe how your agency will provide the services outlined in the project description and include your proposed staffing structure. So again, this is a chance to where you reflect upon what the description says and how your organization could adopt that program, and if there are any tweaks that would be made, and again, include your as an agency proposed staffing structure in this section. We go to question number 17. Outcome measures are keys. What is the result that you want to achieve with the project? So we're asking for two outcomes. Obviously, the project type we know is permanent supportive housing, and we know the targeted population as described above. What is wanting to be achieved with the project as an outcome? What do you think your rate of achievement would be, and the time frame in achieving the outcomes? So brief section, but outcomes are important, and we wanted to make sure that got addressed in the application. Question number 18 is describing your agency experience in administering CoC program funds or other federal grants, and then including your experience with similar projects. Again, we did talk about your experience with permanent supportive housing projects, but this is now administering CoC, continuum of care program funds or other federal grants. And it's a chance to explain that is very important. Again, these kind of reflect back on what was said at the beginning of the form on some of what is put in our operations manual, operations and procedures. An important question at number 19 is to describe the agency financial and management experience to carry out the project as detailed in the project application, and the capacity, again, to administer federal funds. This is fiscal financial management and management experience. So kind of the administrative functions of your organization. We do ask that existing continuum of care funding recipients that obviously only would have to answer this at whether HUD has found the project applicant to have any significant issues related to capacity, performance, or unresolved audits, monitoring findings related to one or more of the existing grants within the past year. And then if so, we ask you to describe the issue and what the applicant has done to resolve the issue. So, we're looking back on experience, and we want to we want the selection and ranking committee to be able to understand the financial and management capacity and experience of your agency, your organization. And the last question, that is the last question. No, the last question is number 20, the budget narrative. Yes. So we will ask you how your agency will adhere to the proposed project budget that was up there in question 11. We want you to, that you will be putting in there. We want you to identify key points and per budget line item, and provide the number of full-time equivalent staff funded through supportive services. So here's where we talk about any changes in the proposed budget from the previous project budget that's there. The reason being that, as it says there, a shift in a single year of more than 10% of the total amount awarded under the grant from one approved eligible activity category to another one, or a reduction in the number of units, must be approved by HUD. That's and we would give the HUD Continuum of Care Regulation citation there. So those are the narrative parts, and with their wording limitations, and that's the application. Again, for those organizations who are not currently CoC funded, there is another form that we require that you submit, and this is really, and it's titled Agency Capacity Form. I will not go through this in detail, but it's basically providing yes or no questions here to again give an organization, the selection and ranking committee members a better understanding of, the capacity of your organization, the experience of your organization in some of the management and fiscal operations categories. So there are questions there. It's only a, is it a one-pager there, Megan? Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so.
Yep, it's just one page.
Yeah, it's not too extensive, but it also gives, paints more of a picture for our reviewers to understand your organization, your agency. So let's jump now to quickly some slides that we received some questions, and we want to just give you some information. And again, you can chime in as we go through some of the questions here. So, what properties are we talking about? Well, there are two properties, as we mentioned, and in the current project, and they each have 8 beds. One of the properties is owned here. Answers a question that was posed. One of the properties is owned by New Hope Housing, and it's located in zip code 22306. And there's another property owned by the organization Christian Relief Services, and it's located in zip code 22041. It is owned by Christian Relief Services, but leased by New Hope Housing. And there was a question, here's the answer to all beds are currently occupied. So it is fully, the 2 properties are fully occupied. So I hope that answers some questions that you might have. And moving on to the next slide, we have some, let's see. Yeah. What services are currently expected. We ask you to look at the description in the application for those services, and they would be, expected. And if there's any deviation, we would ask you to explain that in your application. Yes, the provider would be responsible for case management, and I'd say a limited property management. Again, the owners of the properties would be different than you all at this point, at this juncture. Next slide, we have the staffing pattern. It was basically kind of described. So the and maybe Ann, you can chime in here too. So the 8-unit permanent supportive housing home that you said that, Ann, that one is staffed with one residential services specialist, and it was Garland that does not have a residential services. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Right. And that's 24/7. Yeah, 3 residential services specialists are full-time. And there are a total of 6 to 8 on the staffing team at any given time. Does that sound right, Ann?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Great. With one case manager working 40 hours per week with a caseload of 16 clients. So 8 clients in each program. So that's the staffing pattern. Any community concern for the properties at this point? New Hope is unaware of any community complaints, current or recent, regarding either property. So that's good news. What do we have next? The key compliance and reporting and performance requirements. So right up front, there will be a HUD grant agreement, and it's important that the agency follow the terms of the HUD grant agreement. And they are requirements that would include adhering to the continuum of care regulations that are at 24 CFR Part 578. If you want to dive into the regs there, you need to participate in the HMIS. Homeless Management Information System, participate in coordinated entry. And then as far as reporting, there is an annual performance report, otherwise known as APR, which needs to be submitted. And there is a special location data database information system to input the APRs into. I mentioned you could actually look at the 24 CFR Part 578 regulations, or it may be more a pleasant experience to look at the virtual binder, maybe a little more user-friendly. There's a link here. We will provide that, by the way, the PowerPoint on the Continuum of Care website. And so that you'll be able to get this website address for the virtual binders, which provides a lot of information. What do we have next? Let's see. Okay. Now's the time for any questions, and I know there's been some activity, I believe, in the chat. Just to again emphasize that applications are due by 4 p.m. on February 27th, 2026. Again, the location, I may have misspoken a little bit. Again, it's at our Continuum of Care website, www.fairfaxcounty.gov/homeless/continuum-care. In the blast that we sent out in the newsletter, there's a link right there that could take you right to it. So to this site. Very good. It looks like Eleanor, you have your hand raised, so I'd like to go to you.
Thank you, Steve. And you know
Yes.
what? I do not want to keep people. I know everybody planned on being here for an hour, but there's still so many questions that we have. Some of them I actually put in the chat here. Some of them you already received from us. So it would be helpful for us to have an opportunity to get answers. There's also, and I'm just going to put this out there, City of Alexandria CoC went through the same process in terms of transitioning a program, and we're pretty transparent in terms of providing information. So, everything including, last APR for these projects, things that are just things that I think anybody interested in applying for this would be interested in getting just based on due diligence. So last APR, what are the last monitoring evaluation scores? what does that look like? Because that really gives you insight into the program, right? If there were any operational challenges that anybody walking into it need to know about. And so it would be really helpful for us to get the information that we're asking for or some kind of idea of why that is not allowed. And this is not just about Pathway Homes. I think, again, I think anybody wanting to submit an application, should be able to ask for things that seem reasonable to get. And I appreciate the time you've taken today, but we just have so many other questions. And Anne, I actually particularly appreciate you coming today and taking the time. But there's some specific questions that we have, and maybe you can share those questions with Anne, and she can take a stab at providing anything additional. So thank you. We're hopeful and waiting, hoping we can get those before the deadline to submit the application, which we know is next Friday. So just asking. Thank you.
Yeah, got it, Eleanor, and appreciate your reiterating that, and also anything that you put in the chat there. Appreciate that. And well, I see we're at time, though, I can stay on if there are questions, though I will say that if you do leave this session and you come up with some other questions, please contact me. My email address on the next slide there, Megan, Stephen.knippler@fairfaxcounty.gov. Again, it's also on the OPEH newsletter as well. And yes, we will strive to get answers to you. And thank you so very much for being here and providing the information that you did. It's very much appreciated.
Oh, absolutely. And feel free to forward me, as you get questions, feel free to send them to me so I can, try to do some research if necessary as quickly as possible, because I do understand the goal of being, transparent so that providers understand kind of what's coming their way. So thank you
so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day, and take care.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Goodbye.